Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Chiara Gatto from Politecnico di Milano. Today I'm going to present you one of the work I'm working with my research team, development of a framework for processing unstructured text dataset through natural language processing in cost estimation AEC sector. So the content of this presentation reflects the methodology followed for the definition of this research activity. Therefore, I will start from the objective, then I will move on to the state-of-the-art and framework development, of which I will show a practical application, and finally I will move on to the conclusion. So, the goal we have set with this research activity is the one of meeting the increasingly demand coming from the industrial side of migrating text information provided by technical documentation from unstructured natural language to structured one, so that it can be more easily manipulated by machines. And more specifically, the research area is the cost estimation field, where in Italy price list documents constitute fundamental to use during all life cycle of a building. So these documents consist of a collection of building work activities and related elementary resources description with associated unit price. And also, moreover, in Italy, this document needs to be used by law in each public tendering project for estimate the project. So the stakeholders involved in this research activity are both public administration and practitioners. Since structuring information will help the first with having a greater control of the textual dataset they provide to the users, and on the other side, the practitioner will easier get access to the data. So, through this state of the art, it was possible to state that few interesting work related to the cost estimation exist, where natural language processing techniques have been used for automatically structuring technical description coming from specification documents, and supervised technique of text classification have been usually preferred respect to the unsupervised one. But the main limitation found in these existing studies is the scalability of the model, and also the level of detail testing when classifying those documents. Also, the methodology developed so far have been tested on specification documents that respond to standards, and therefore are characterized by homogeneous, those data sets are homogeneous, while Italian price list documents do not need to respond to any standard in a way that the knowledge is provided. Okay, so the developed framework is mainly based on two stages. Through the first, we define the cost analysis ontology and semantic definition. This process was done by extracting knowledge from price list document and expert interviews, and so with the aim of finding those attributes that characterize the price of works, activities, and elementary resources. So mainly the attributes can be divided into four typologies of attributes. Let's say the one related to classification data, the ones related to technical and miscellaneous informations, and the last one related to the unit price. Okay, so the second stage of this framework consists in the definition of NLP techniques to be used for automatically identifying the previously defined set of labels. So classification techniques is found to be the best suiting this context, and more precisely, we we prefer the name entity recognition. Okay, so this kind of techniques is able in finding entities from text and classifying them into different categories. But it previously required the dataset to be pre-processed with a text annotation activity. So it consists in manually labeling the dataset, providing to the part of speech the predefined set of labels. So for the development of this work, customizable deep learning name entity recognition have been selected. It relies on, it is based on convolutional neural network, sorry. And the training phase consists of an iterative process in which the model's predictions are compared against the referenced annotations in order to estimate the gradient of the loss. So this process is repeated multiple times in order to make the model gradually learning and better recognize the how to automatically identify the labels. Okay, so once the framework have been defined, it was tested on a practical study case, which consists of 100 elementary resources description samples taken from the Lombardy regional price list document. It is divided in 50-50, let's say, so 50 description of tiles and the remaining one of measuring blocks. The 74% was used for training and the remaining one for the validation. So for the sake of simplicity, I've translated in English the Italian description. And as it is possible to see, if we just focus on the dimension, we can see that the way the information is conveyed is not harmonized, let's say unified, since we can say numbers, we can say unit of measurement, but we can see always the typology of the dimension. And also, as we can see in the last two description referring to the block measuring, the first time the block measuring is defined with the word brick, and in the other part is referred with the word blocks. So this is an idea of how this document is characterized by dishomogeneity in the way the knowledge is conveyed. So the set of labels used are here shown, are 10 labels, and this is, okay, I firstly manually label the data set, and this is the output, one example of tile output and measuring block output coming from the, after being, yes, this is the output of the name entity recognition results. So it was applied to Italian dataset. So here we can see the Italian vocabulary, but the label were assessed correctly, and yes, also by looking into the performance, the level of accuracy reached is satisfying, let's say. So yes, moving on to the conclusion. So it is possible to say that automatize the process of classifying textual dataset with a high level of detail. It is possible also in with the non-standardized and dishomogeneous dataset. The disadvantages, it is possible also, of course, to reduce the amount of time spent in manually labeling those data sets. And the disadvantages is that still this process cannot replace the human activity, but a further check from a human need to be done. And so as a further development in the next future studies, we would like to understand some KPIs for assessing the data quality of the data set for better pre-processing the text before structuring it. Thank you for your attention.